Hello and welcome to Wake Up Cricket powered by Pavilion Picks, and peeping from and waving from their window are Praatibh and Aswin. Now before we begin, remember to like the video, share the video and also subscribe to the channel, and they're also prompting you where you'd find all of those buttons.
Yes.
All right then. So we are here to talk about the associate nations because they're the ones grabbing all the limelight. But before that, let's begin by talking about ICC, BCB, and PCB who are to meet. So, talks intensify to resolve Pakistan's boycott of India's T20 World Cup clash. Bangladesh Cricket Board President Aminul Islam has arrived in Lahore as negotiations gather pace to resolve Pakistan's boycott of their T20 World Cup match against India, scheduled for February 15th. Islam is said to meet PCB chairman Mohsen Naqvi, with ICC director Imran Khwaja also involved in discussions. Back channel talks have continued since Pakistan's government ordered the team not to play the fixture, citing Bangladesh's removal from the tournament as a key reason. The ICC has sought clarity from the PCB on its use of the force majeure clause, while Pakistan continues to press for redress for Bangladesh. The India Pakistan match is currently slated to be played in Colombo next Sunday.
Yeah, this is such a topic that will continue to be talked about until Sunday and possibly even on Sunday. I feel like a lot of people, a lot of casual cricket fans don't really understand why it's so important for this match to take place. Not just financial reasons, but a lot of reasons that's away from cricket. Also, why so many presidents of the cricket boards are involved. The prime ministers of the country are involved. In fact, allegedly, the prime minister of Pakistan is completely against. Oh no, actually, Musin, the chairman of Pakistan Cricket Board, is completely against the idea of playing this game. I mean, he's been stubborn since he stole the Asia Cup. Let's just put it that way. But
Yeah.
yeah, I feel like a lot of people don't understand why it's so important for this match to happen. It's not just money. Of course, it's a lot of money. If this match doesn't happen, ICC will possibly lose a lot of money.
Yeah.
Sri Lanka might lose a lot of money. And the Sri Lankan Cricket Board has requested people to reconsider their stance on this match because it's important for them, their country, their cricketing board for this match to happen. So there's a lot of people dependent on this one single game.
I mean, we've also spoken about it as being a sort of snowball effect because if this game doesn't happen, of course, you lose all of the revenue.
Yeah.
But the impact of this is also on associate nations who have been the light of the tournament so far. So that's very important and something to keep in mind. What's very interesting, however, is that the Bangladesh Cricket Board's president is also involved in
Yeah.
this. So why is that happening is something worth thinking about.
That is true.
Yeah.
But yeah, India Pakistan, all of this could have been avoided if India Pakistan isn't a compulsion game that happens in every ICC tournament, and
True.
you would just hope that they get to the next stage together instead of having a group stage game every single tournament. Because at this point, as much as a lot of people do enjoy India Pakistan, I feel like a lot of people are also bored of the fact that they will play. But yeah, it is what it is. Hopefully, on Feb 15, for the sake of cricket, a decision is taken place.
So us, the team from Wake Up Cricket, would love to be the fly on the wall as that discussion happens. All right, then. So UK in Ranji semis. It's Uttarakhand, by the way. When we say UK, Uttarakhand booked maiden Ranji Trophy semi-finals with commanding win. Uttarakhand have reached the semi-final stage of the Ranji Trophy for the first time in their history, crushing Jharkhand in the quarterfinals by an innings and 6 runs in Jamshedpur. After building a solid first innings total of 371, contributions from Jagdisha Suchit, Kunal Chandela, and Avnish Sudha set the platform. In response, Jharkhand collapsed in their second innings, with Mayank Mishra taking 5 wickets and Abhay Negi 4, sealing Uttarakhand's emphatic victory and a historic maiden place in the last four of India's premier domestic competition.
This is very interesting because in the last few years, you have seen new Ranji Trophy champions, right? I think
Yes.
the biggest narrative in the last at least 5, 6 years now is that Vidarbha is a side that has been doing well. And now to see Uttarakhand come in that same league, for them to get past that quarterfinal, it's huge. It
Yeah.
shows that there are at least states or at least teams that are coming through that want to sort of do well in the Ranji Trophy. But something else also to keep in mind is that there are other quarterfinals taking place.
Yeah.
Most of them are turning out to be one-sided results, but the Mumbai versus Karnataka game
It's a
is
very
interesting.
interesting. Yeah.
It's very evenly poised. If I read the scores, Mumbai 120 and 377 all out. Karnataka 173 all out in their first innings, are now 113 for 2, beautifully placed.
Yep.
There's enough time in terms of number of days. Today is going to be day 4, and then you have that 5th day as well. You have the likes of KL Rahul, who's batting not out.
Yeah, batting on 60 overnight.
And you also have Kirton Naib.
Yes,
so
batting
Indian
60.
internationals are out there,
Yeah.
and they still need 212 runs to win.
Yeah.
Do you think they'll get it?
Yeah, there's a lot of international players out there. Yashasvi Jaiswal didn't get a big score both the innings.
Yeah.
But yeah, Karnataka is in a position where they found themselves in the same place as the quarterfinals, except in the quarterfinals, they were, before the quarterfinals, they were chasing a target. And here they are once again. They've lost the captain, Devdutt, so they can't rely on him. He scored a fantastic 100 the game before, but he's not here. But you still have international players. You have someone who has an international triple 100, and you have KL Rahul, who's now one of the best Indian test openers we have had in recent times. Time will tell. Mumbai has looked like a decent squad this Ranji Trophy. I mean, it's been a mixed bag. Karnataka has looked, I would want to say better, but that might be my own bias being from Karnataka. But
it's also like with Mumbai, you never know which side's going to turn up. Like they be 50 for 6, and then you'll have the last 4 just come in and smack half centuries. And the same could happen with the ball, because till now Karnataka has dominated, but very quickly in the last 20 seconds I'll also go through the other quarterfinals, which is Andhra Pradesh and Bengal. Bengal is leading by 123. Very likely, I mean, they have the first innings lead, and I think that would be enough for them to get through, or they could even just put Andhra Pradesh in again and still win. And Jammu and Kashmir is also doing well against Madhya Pradesh. Akib Nabi, one to watch out for, has already taken 10 wickets in the match.
All right, then. So can we move on to the next one, or is anything remaining?
No, we can move on.
All right, great. So we've covered the Ranji quarterfinals, and now moving on or coming back to the World Cup action, Gulbadin Naib seems to be Afghanistan's solution at number 3. Since the start of the 2024 T20 World Cup, Afghanistan have rifled through 11 players at number 3, but they have now found the right player for the role at this World Cup, according to their head coach Jonathan Trott, and that player is Gulbadin Naib, who had briefly performed the same role for Afghanistan during the 2024 tournament. Returning to the number 3 spot for the first time since then, Naib clattered a career-best 63 of 35 balls against New Zealand in Chennai. Naib displayed the traits of a seasoned number 3, absorbing the early pressure and then going from 18 of 16 balls to a 50 of 29. In fact, those 11 players can make an 11 of their own, but now it's Naib that they're zeroing in on.
That is true. I feel it's so unfortunate the way the para is written, because while reading it that right, so he's not a batter who usually bats number 3. But interestingly, his numbers are the best at number 3, nowhere in the batting order except number 8. But that's also because of his not outs. Does he average more than 20 in any of the batting positions? But in number 3, he averages more than 40 with a strike rate of 148. Now that is a seasoned campaigner at number 3. But it's such an unlikely number 3 batter. You wouldn't think of him, but almost every time he's got an opportunity, he's performed. Also, why his average is great. Also, why his strike rate is great.
And I mean, he's one of those players that, as a captain, you would want in your side, because he'll put his body on the line. He'll even fake an injury for you, get shot in his hamstring. But yeah, it's just something that's really nice to see, because Afghanistan, they have had the edge over New Zealand the last time they did win. Yesterday, however, it seemed like the batting order struggled a bit. Eventually, it was because of Gulbadin that they got to 180 odd. And I think they missed a trick in not playing Noor Ahmed. That's the conversation that's been going around. And honestly, like with the kind of side that Afghanistan had, they'll feel like it's a bit of a missed chance. They should have possibly been able to close that game out. But New
that's
Zealand,
true.
Yeah, credit where due.
Yes, even Rashid Khan, who's someone who's close to 700 wickets, didn't look at his best. In fact, he was slightly expensive in his couple of overs. Got only 1 wicket, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, Afghanistan, they are a very strong side. It's just that every ICC event, they're not an associate nation anymore. In the T20 side of things, they are one of the best in the world, if not. No, of course. If not the best, then they're not the best. But they're one of the best nations. Top 2 from Asia, you would say.
That's
top
an
three,
interesting statement.
top three from Asia.
We'll find out. But
Yeah,
yeah, I mean, they've done the stuff that they need to. They've caused upsets, but now you won't consider it an upset. Like if
yeah.
they beat New Zealand yesterday, it would have been
Mm.
perfectly normal. So that's how far they've come in a fairly short amount of
Yeah,
time.
that's true. So hopefully this unlikely number three can be the likely number three for the rest of the tournament.
That's true.
And he doesn't waste time at number three, nor is he asked to waste time. All right, then. So moving on, edging until the end. Raza, associate nations have caught up with the T20 format. First of all, I do think all the associate nations have caught up with the T20 format, with the test nations rated specially from 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Noted Raza ahead of Zimbabwe's T20 World Cup opener against Oman. So credit to all the associate countries how they've grown in the T20 format, and rightly so. And hopefully, the game can keep spreading and the gap can be even smaller. And of course, with the help of franchise cricket as well, a lot of those associate cricketers do find all those franchise gigs here and there as well, and they take those lessons and learnings back home. Thanks to all of those factors, T20 cricket has been brought a lot closer.
This is spot on from Sikandar Raza, who's
Yeah.
one of the stalwarts of Zimbabwe cricket, right? When he started out, Zimbabwe were nowhere near what they were, and now coming back, he's been around this revolution for a long time. He
True.
has since seen so much associate cricket.
True.
He's played all these World Cup qualifiers, so he knows what he's talking about, right? And it's also been the trend so far in the World Cup itself, where we've had 6 games so far, and 4 of them, the associate nations have really sort of ran the other teams really, really close. So, for example, I mean, if you see yesterday's game, England versus Nepal, that got so much closer than it should
Yeah.
have. England getting 184 for 7. And
Joffre Archer getting thrashed
Exactly,
all over the
exactly.
place, by
Yeah.
the way. The batters had no problem with pace and bounce. He was taken apart,
Yeah.
is an understatement.
Even Adil Rashid, to be fair, I mean, a couple
Hmm.
of his overs, they absolutely smashed. In
True.
fact, he was the bowler that they decided, okay, we're going to target, because Joffre Archer turns up balls one good over,
Yeah.
and then you think, okay, it's going to be on the spinners who are going to get taken away. And that's exactly what happened. And Nepal eventually getting 180. At one point, it didn't look like they were going to make it when they lost Dipendra Singh Airi. He was going really well for them. He was also taking Jofra Archer on. But
Yeah.
from there, when they stumbled, you thought, okay, that's the match, that's game done. But Lokesh Baum doing a great job in bringing them back to a point where they were 11 to win from 7 deliveries. And from there, if you see, it should have been Nepal's game to win. But unfortunately, it didn't happen.
And this is what has been happening in the T20 World Cup, where the associate nations have come so close.
Yeah.
Yet when you see the result, they're so far away. And it
Hmm.
breaks my heart. And we talked about this yesterday. If you haven't been watching us, watch us for daily updates. But we talked about how yesterday, these are the key moments that associate nations really need to cash on. When they come so close, they need to make sure that they're holding on that. And that is what separates a nation that's playing consistent cricket, has a lot of match practice, versus countries like Nepal, who may not have as much match practice. Hopefully, I mean, these are just first few games, but hopefully through this tournament, we do see some upsets, because that's the fun of it.
Yeah, I think especially in a 20 team
Yeah.
World Cup, and it's been blockbuster to watch also, right? Because these are the games that you want to get close, and you want that underdog story, you want that
Yes.
underdog to be able to win.
Yes.
So yeah, that's what it's about. We've been rambling on about the associate nations. They will show you some good cricket.
Talking about underdog stories, the next story is a very interesting one.
And also the fact that through the 2 days of the World Cup thus far, the associate nations might not have crossed the finishing line, but there are second chances for them, and there are second chances for the players as well. Canada's Nicholas Kirton grateful for second T20 World Cup chance after turbulent 2025. Canada batting all-rounder Nicholas Kirton says he feels fortunate to be playing in his second ICC Men's T20 World Cup after a challenging 2025 off the field that nearly derailed his career. Kirton, who was part of Canada's maiden World Cup in 2024, faced drug related charges in Barbados in April last year and was granted bail while the case continues, a period he describes as a major learning curve. Now in Ahmedabad with Canada as they prepare to face a tough Group D, including South Africa and New Zealand, Kirton says his focus is on enjoying the opportunity and contributing where he can. Canada booked their place at the 2026 tournament with an unbeaten run through the Americas regional qualifiers last year, securing a second successive World Cup appearance.
All right, so for those of you guys who don't know the story and what he's talking about, basically sometime last year, he was going somewhere, and in the airport, someone he knew gave him a briefcase, and that briefcase had, let's just say, drugs, right? And he was caught at the airport, and yeah, and a lot whatever happens after you get caught with illegal substances happened. And he was then released on bail. He does have a hearing this year. In fact, he has a hearing in April. Imagine having a hearing in April and playing the World Cup in India. He's of course allowed to do all of this, but that's the unfortunate bit he's talking about. He talks about how it was unfortunate that he trusted this person, he trusted the briefcase or the bag that this person gave, and subsequently this is what happened. It's not the first time you've heard stories of cricketers and drugs.
Drugs, yeah. It is a fairly big problem, to be fair, especially in associate nations or in lesser nations, because we've seen this with Brendan Taylor as well.
True.
A very big example. In fact, he's coming back for this World Cup after serving his 3-year ban.
Yeah.
Was also someone who got heavily into drugs, and this is how it starts, right? It's people who you think or who you trust, or the people around you who you've known for a while, and maybe they could be swayed by some sort of bad elements.
Yeah.
We've also seen it with Rabada happen in the most recent IPL. So Ashwin's moving away from controversy, but it's important to address, because at least in sport, because of so many things happening, because of a lot of stories where you suddenly get thrust into the limelight, into the money, into the pressures of just high expectations and all of that, it's very easy for people to sway you, or for the athlete themselves to get swayed. And so, I mean, for anyone out there who's also currently pursuing sport or whatever it is in life, take care of yourself, lads.
Yeah, it's also like, as a viewer, you also forget that they are in such high pressure situations, and sometimes it's so easy for them to be swayed by it, and you forget that they are human beings who can also make mistakes.
True.
And so it's okay. He made a mistake. He's back playing cricket, and that's what he wants to do. So good on him.
All right then. So moving on, and moving on to what? Thala, for a reason. We had to. Now, 7 properly documented dropped catches in the game last night between Sri Lanka and Ireland. And when you hear the number 7, you invoke an MS Dhoni reference. But a hallmark of the matches we've seen thus far is dropped catches. The game last night had 7 proper dropped catches, and 9 in all if you include the half chances that Ireland dropped. But we are not counting those extra 2. Nonetheless, it isn't without reason that the saying goes catches win matches, with Ireland dropping 5 chances and another 2 if you include those half chances that basically let Sri Lanka get away and score enough.
Now, Sri Lanka versus Ireland was a very interesting fixture,
Yes.
right? For a number of reasons. Of course, Sri Lanka, when they started out batting, you thought that despite the pitch being a little slow and low, the Ireland bowlers just kept firing it in. The spinners weren't even turning the ball, so to speak, but they were just bowling stump to stump, and the Sri Lankans were struggling to get the runs. They were struggling to get the ball off the square. It was, and yeah, like, because Sri Lanka was having zero momentum, and it was the two Mendises who eventually got them out of trouble. And it's on the back of these catches that were dropped, right? Because Sri Lanka eventually got 163 for 6, Ireland 143 all out. Of course, Ireland lost. But the reason for that is that both Kamindu as well as Kushal Mendis in the 18th over were dropped. So around that time, I think one of them was on 36, one of them was on 20, and they both went on to score in the high 40s. I think one of them also got a 50, which means that in the last couple of overs, not only have you dropped them and not been able to get a new batter on strike, but you've also allowed them to get away, because they're settled now. They know the pace of the pitch, they know the conditions, they know the bowlers that they can target. That's exactly what they did, adding about 30, 40 odd in just the last 2 overs, which eventually was the difference. Because if Ireland knew that they were going to chase just 140, it would have been a completely different ballgame.
That is true, and that's exactly been the story in the first few days of this associate nation. I saw a post on Reddit where it said the 4 horsemen of dropping catches. There was a drop of Suryakumar Yadav got dropped against Pakistan. There was a drop catch. Yesterday there were drop catches. These drop catches, I mean, people do say catches win matches. People don't say that if you drop catches, you're probably going to lose those matches. And that's the important bit, right? MS Dhoni, he's talked about this a lot, controlling the controllables. As long as you do what you have to on the field, you will probably win a game. And sometimes batting is out of control, bowling is out of control. But what is in your control completely is fielding. You running towards the ball, catching the ball, or like fielding and stuff. It's completely in your control. So if you were able to do that, you would probably win matches 8 out of 10 times. Now, I wish I was a coach who could give a speech like this, but I'm not. But I hope someone's hearing it and someone's telling their fielders, just take that goddamn catch.
Yeah, just get your hands under the ball, eyes on the ball, and you'll catch it. Now, that completes our news for the day. But the day today itself is going to
Yes.
have some firsts.
Yes.
Italy is going to be playing their first ever fixture in a cricket World Cup. They haven't been a part of the FIFA World Cup, the Football World Cup, in the
Mm.
last 12 years. They last featured in 2014. So there are kids who are
Yeah.
going to be growing up seeing Italy play cricket first. I don't think any of us saw that coming,
That
for
is
sure.
true. I mean, I would hope that cricket continues to grow like this. And if a
Mm.
lot of kids in Italy are going to watch cricket for the very first time, especially in a World Cup, hopefully they know about it
Yeah.
for starters. But if they are going to watch their players or the countrymen play cricket in a World Cup stage,
Mm.
I think that'll be a lot of fun. Interestingly, this is a bit of a digression, but USA and Canada have the oldest cricketing
Mm.
rivalry
True.
in the history of sport, not just cricket. Yet you see USA and Canada, I mean, they're not the biggest cricketing nations. But if you have countries like Italy and stuff play cricket, their kids watch their countrymen play cricket, hopefully the game just spreads around and grows. But what are the other few matches today?
All right, so Italy, of course, is taking on Scotland. You have Oman taking on Zimbabwe, and you have Canada taking on South Africa. So another day where we might see some upsets. We are going to see some firsts, anyways.
True.
And yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. Another day's World Cup cricket.
Megha, do you think today might be a day where we might finally get an upset?
Haven't we been waiting for that all that while? And those clips of yours where you were ranting about the drop catches, we'd package that as coach's advice, remove that cricket by JB Aston, and circulate it amongst the associate nations so that we finally get to see an upset today or tomorrow.
There you go. That's the spirit. This has been Wake Up Cricket for today. See you guys tomorrow. If you haven't subscribed already, do that. Stay updated with all the news. If you don't have time to watch cricket, listen to us. You'll be updated. Thank you guys so much for watching. See you guys tomorrow.